I'm going to talk about 10 things plus a bonus, number 11, of things that I have learned in my photo studio business history and experience that's going to help you. There's going to be mistakes that I want you to avoid, and there's going to be things that I did that I learned through the process that I would love for you to start earlier so you make money sooner and more money. You guys, I am about to make one of my favorite videos on accident. This video originally, and it still is going to be about 10 things that I wish I knew when I first started my photo studio. So I've had this photo studio, I've had many videos about my photo studio, but I stopped here. I want to tell you the synchronicities of life and the universe and how things sometimes work together. This guy that owns this with his 77-year-old mom sticks his head out the window and he's like, "Hey man, we're sold out for the day. I'm so sorry." And I said, you know, actually I didn't know if you guys were even open. I was just gonna sit here and I was wondering if I could make a quick YouTube video because my editor says try different locations. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm on my way to Vegas for a client meeting. And he's like, "Of course, man." And then he says, "Can I please get you a drink?" And I was like, yeah, I'd be happy to get a drink, you know, and at least support the business for a few bucks. And he's like, "No man, it's on the house." And I said, no. Y'all know I'm very Bernie Sanders about this stuff. I support small business and I fight for the small guy. And I said, "No, I insist on paying for it." And we went back and forth a few times and I said, no, I insist on paying for it. And he said to me, the exact words, "God blessed us today, so I'm going to bless someone else." And he gave me this free drink. And I've learned that in life to let people give you a gift because it makes them happy. But I'm gonna give him a tip. And he says I don't want a tip, but he's working there with a 77-year-old mom. And so I'm gonna give her a tip, and I'm gonna give her a $100 tip, just because God has blessed me too. But let's talk about this video because it's the importance of business. And the reason why I say the universe is so synced together is because my video is about helping other people. My video is about you being a better business owner to your customers and you making sure that your business stands out, and not in a way that advertising dollars can purchase, in a way that only human-to-human interaction can get you. And of course some other things on top of that. So this video is 10 things that I wish I knew when I first had my photo studio. A little bit of a detour in the beginning of it, so let's get started. So number one, we're going to talk about insurance is important. This is really boring, so I started with it first so we can just get it out of the way. Get insurance. And the reason why is, especially in the United States, I can sue you because I don't like the shirt you're wearing. I could sue you because you said my name incorrectly. Doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I can try to sue you. Everything is about suing people in America. That's number one. Number two, you need to be the moral police. The moral police is generally frowned upon, right? But I'll give you a quick little story. In my studio, there was a shoot and everyone on crew, probably about 9 or 10 people, were all guys. And I'm sure they were great humans, but they were all guys. And there were 3 models, and the hair and makeup was a guy also. 2 of the models were older. There were girls that were probably like 22. One, I swear, she said she was 18. I don't know if she was 16 or not. I don't know because that's not my job and I didn't book. They just rented my studio. She was very shy. You could tell. The older girls were like talking and they were bigger, taking up space. The younger girl was sitting kind of like this and she was very shy and just looking around. I went downstairs to go get something from my neighbor and I came back up and I saw the 2 girls leaving. And I said, "You guys are done?" They're like, "Yeah." And I said, "You're done and you're leaving?" They were like, "Yeah." And I said, "Where the hell are you going? How many guys are there?" There are 10 grown-up men there. And there's 1 girl that is barely 18, if she's 18 at all. You're gonna just leave her alone? And this is like a sexier shoot, like it was for yoga line and pants that's more form-fitting. I'm like, you're just gonna like leave her alone? And I was like, get your ass back up there and go sit there. Not because you have to, but because you have to as a human being take care of people that are different than, or that are younger than you, that are newer than you. Sometimes your job is to be that moral police and to look around and say, don't talk to that model like that. You know what, dude? She feels uncomfortable. So that's number 2. Number 3, not everyone is raised the same. Good people right there. But I've noticed that, so people would stand against my walls and they would put their foot up against and leave footprints on my white wall. So I had boundaries set, and those boundaries were, in my contract, it was $10 a footstep. So I would always get like a cash deposit from them, 500, 800, 1,000, depending on the size of the crew. And I would always say, okay, let's do a walkthrough. And I'm like, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. That is a way of setting boundaries. Another way of setting boundaries is, hey, if someone does something, it's your job to speak up and let them know that's unacceptable. You have to set the boundaries, and that's gonna really help you be successful. The longer you have your studio, the more rules you have, but that's okay. So let's go to the next one. Security cameras, a must. It's a deterrent, first of all. So people are gonna see it and they're like, oh no, this is not the place to mess around. People are gonna see it and maybe their behavior will be better in a way that they won't disrespect somebody. Security cameras will also help you get cheaper insurance. Security cameras will also help you rent gear for cheaper. Security cameras will also help you preserve your business. Let's just say somebody makes a wild accusation, not against you, but somebody who rented your studio, and maybe that model is wrong in their accusation. Maybe they're not, but you want to have documentation and 1080 preferably of what happened or what didn't happen. That's gonna save your butt in a business. I'm gonna go to something a little bit less windy. Number 5, we're gonna talk about the importance of good art and also cleared art. So what makes good art? What good art would be is something that would fill the background, that people can use in their music videos and photo shoots and commercials and docs, but it's also not so stand out that it steals from the attention. Of course, some people want standout art, but good art is what's going to serve the majority of people. That's what you want to look for, is good art. Now, that means things that maybe you photographed and has clearance. If it doesn't have clearance, then you can really sue somebody for a lot of money for using their art in someone else's piece. So for example, if someone takes my photograph and puts it in a commercial, now they're making money from that commercial, and I didn't get paid for my art, then I could technically sue them. So that ties into why you need insurance and all that. But you need a whole plethora of good art. And that could be photos that you've taken, photos that you know are cleared, digital art that you have done. And a really great way that you can really serve your customers is to have some frames that you purchase from yard sales and garage sales, and you go and you are able to exchange the art in their frames as needed. So let's just say somebody is looking for black and white Western landscape. Maybe you took some beautiful photos on your way to Vegas, just like I am right now. Maybe you have some stuff of the ocean. Maybe you have some abstract photos of clouds and shadows and things like that. If you can have good cleared art, that's gonna get you a lot of bookings with any kind of digital video, anything like that, or analog. I'm saying as far as motion goes. So get yourself cleared art, because a lot of times people are gonna have to pay $1,000, $1,200, $400, whatever, for somebody in art department, and they're going to be sourcing it, meaning going and renting it from somewhere. Maybe you can rent it yourself, or you can offer it complimentary. Either way, make sure you have cleared art so none of your clients are sued. I'm gonna go find another location. Let's just see what happens. I love a good small town. Charge for everything. Not because you're greedy, but because you're a business. I am at the Yermo Welcome Center, Arts, Crafts, Museums, Tourist Information. And I want you to charge for things because you deserve it, because all businesses deserve to stay in business. And you're not a 501 charity, you're not a community service, and it's great if you want to help the community, but it's great to help yourself first so that you're able to help other people. That means, okay, if someone is renting a chair, that's $2 each. $2. It's not that big of a deal. Charge for it. When you learn to say that's all right, that's okay, that's on the house, too much, it starts putting you out of business. You give them 1 or 2 C-stands and they want more, okay, charge them per. If a local store felt bad for charging you for a can of soda, well, I mean, it's so small, like, I don't know why I should charge it. No, charge for the damn thing. You're a business and you want to stay in business. Charge. This one is something that you may or may not have to use a lot. Most people are really great, but there's one or two that just were not raised the same and they're just horrible people. So what we're gonna do is make them initial every single page. If they initial every single page, they are less likely to say, you never told me that. You never said this was included or this wasn't included, because sometimes people will say, I only signed the last page. You never showed me the other stuff and you altered it after the fact. So if you get them to initial almost like every other important point, first name, last name, and then sign at the bottom of every single page, if they don't want to go through that extra 10 or 20-second inconvenience, that's a reason why you may not want to rent out to them. You got to prove that everything was signed, everything was read, everything was agreed to, and you are not going to lose out. Not if you're going to pay attention to my channel. Nobody watches my channel and loses out. Next one is a special kind of a hack. Make sure that they tag you and you follow up with them. So the best way to do this is, like, let's just say on March 1st, you have a shoot. On March 15th, you're gonna set yourself like Siri notification and you're gonna contact them and say, hey, thank you so much for showing up. If there's any BTS video you would love for us to repost, we would love to repost and support you. If there's anything you would love for us to showcase, we would love to showcase it. The important reason for that is not only are you following up with them and it's really great customer service, but you are also saying, we wanna advertise your work. And they're of course gonna love that and they're gonna say, yeah, heck yeah. And you're gonna repost their work. You might even post it as original, put it in your stories, do whatever, thank them, congratulate them. But when you get them to tag you, so you just say, please tag us so we can reshare it. But when they're tagging you, they're also sharing you with everybody else. Their contacts, everybody, saying, hey, this is where I shot. It is incredible advertisement that is free and it builds great customer service. You guys, this camera is so heavy, can you tell? It's on this, it's a heavy camera. That's what I would do. Let's talk about storage. Storage is very important for a lot of productions, especially 2 and 3 day productions. They need a place to put all of their gear. I didn't know this until one of the productions in my studio was like, hey Waleed, what would you charge us for overnight? A half day rate? Yeah, okay. So if I was charging $4,000 for the day and then $4,000 for another day, for example, like for a movie, I would charge these prices. And if you have a big enough studio and a big enough production, you can and you should charge these prices. Then it would be like $2,000 to keep everything overnight and just not have a company move. A company move is going to cost them so much. Every single person is going to be on some kind of union, overtime, a lot of food, a lot of overtime, a lot of security, everything. So in this case, what happens is they would say, we want to pay you $2,000 in this one particular case. And it's kind of like a half day rate. So we're gonna go from day 1 into day 2, and our security guard is gonna stay overnight. It has to be able to have permission to use your restroom, to stay there, to be able to use your electricity and plug in and charge his phone and everything. $2,000 because that studio is gonna be there anyways. Instead of making somebody clear everything out and then come back in the next day, make them spend more money, make them waste their time. Why don't I let them save money by paying me $2,000, and that's $2,000 more in my pocket? Maybe for you it's $500, maybe it's $5,000, but don't underestimate the power of overnight storage or just even long-term storage. If you have space, there are people that are willing to rent space from you. Number 10, tell people the obvious. HVAC systems. HVAC systems are your AC and your heating. And you think, you know what, come on, dude, like if it's gonna be 9 degrees, people should know about it. They should know if you have AC, if you don't have AC. They should know if you have a swamp cooler or if you don't. They should know if you have heating or you don't. Because people don't really dress for the weather and people are sometimes clueless. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that people are prepared. The reason why I say that is because sometimes people are Karens and Karens love to complain. So you might get somebody saying, oh, you know what, it sucked, it was hot there. But if I had just written that in the call sheet, like there is no AC, there's a big square footage, And we have a lot of lights and a lot of people moving around, a lot of warm bodies. So please make sure you dress for the weather. It's going to be warm inside the studio. Just telling people that makes people prepare more, because people are in their own minds. They're thinking about their kids and their family and their friends and their loved ones and what's going right in life and what's going wrong in life. And so when you put it on a call sheet, that keeps people happier and that keeps people from complaining about your studio. Right? I got a bonus one for you too. Let's change locations because my legs are going numb. Number 11, none of this belongs to you. It does, but it doesn't. And without the community, you are nothing. And I realized that in my studio, that the community was gonna like make or break my business. There will be days inevitably, like if you can fill 15 days in the calendar in your studio, you're doing pretty good. Like I'm not doing on my balance here. If you can book even 20 days, now you're doing so much better. But even with 20 days, there's going to be some days that you just don't have any bookings. And maybe you have stuff to do in your office and you're sitting at your desk and you're thinking, what a waste of space all of this is. If I can't help those people who can't yet support my business, who can't yet afford to rent a studio. So what I'll say is it belongs to the community. Days that are off belongs to the community. Just pick one day a month and give back. You can pick and you can say this is going to be for a day where I give back to a homeless women's shelter who's trying to get them back in the workforce and help them get really, really good LinkedIn photos. Please do that. It's gonna pay off like in 20,000 different ways. But maybe you wanna have a day where there's gonna be a lot of photographers who are like, man, I can't afford to rent a studio yet. Or maybe you just have a day where photographers who can't afford, they all come in, they meet, they talk about photos. Maybe there's a couple models, maybe there's a hairstylist and a makeup artist that comes in, and there's like a whole group community shootout. If you have a studio and you don't book every single day and you're in there for one day and you think, God, this would be amazing for people that can't afford, give them a chance. You will never, never, never be disappointed in that. If you want to learn more about photos, this playlist is all my photo studio stuff. I got more golden tips, and I hope that this video entertained you some, taught you some. And if you want to learn more about photo, my channel literally is just designed to help other photographers win. Thanks so much. My name is Waleed. I'll talk to you later. All the links in the description.